What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson, today joined by my co-host, Will Cohen. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a mock trade episode talking about Trevor Zegras. He's a name that's been thrown around in the news a lot recently. Anaheim recently traded away Jamie Drysdale. Now all of a sudden there's talks that Trevor Zegras, Mr. Lacrosse goal, Michigan goal himself, might be on the trade block as the trade deadline slowly approaches. And it's not even slowly anymore because we're less than 2 months away. If the Rangers are going to be making some trades to boost their lineup, it's going to be soon. So we're going to dive right into this potential trade option here for the Rangers. But before we do, make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification. If you're watching us on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review. Leave your thoughts on Zegras and a potential trade involving him down in the comments section below. And lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on both Instagram and X. But before we really get into things here, Will, how are you doing today? And what are your thoughts on Trevor Zegras?
My thoughts on Trevor Zegras. He's a really good player, a very young player. He has the potential to be a 1C in this league, but I just don't know if he fits on this Ranger roster, how it's constructed right now. But, I mean, we'll see if he does get traded. We'll see how it works out, how it shapes out.
I think you look at Zegras and the way that he's playing right now. I think as a third line center, I think he would fit pretty well on this Rangers team. You know, you have Zibanejad as the 1C, Trocheck as the 2. Filipino is out, and will potentially be back at some point this season. But as we'll get into later when we discuss what a potential price tag would be, I would be more than willing to throw Hedel into there. But more on that later. I just think the Rangers, as good as they are right now, you know, as we've said, best team in recent years, they're still missing a few pieces here. You know, a winger is needed as well, which Zegras can play on the wing as well if the Rangers don't want to use him down on the third line. But I just think you look at the type of player he is. He's very quick, crafty, very fast-paced type of player, especially on this Anaheim Ducks team that is really bad. You know, it's had an impact on Zegras so far this season. He only has 7 points in 20 games played. He's been on the IR twice. He's currently on it after just getting injured last game. But if we're talking about a potential trade that the Rangers might do, it wouldn't be for a few weeks, maybe even a month or two away. So hopefully there's time for him to recover there. But I really do like Zegras. You know, it's not just because he's a flashy player. I'm not going to say the Rangers should go out there and trade for him because he can score Michigans. I just think that there is some depth that is needed on this team. And whether the Rangers put him as a first line right winger or use him as a depth centerpiece, I could see it benefiting both teams. But, you know, there's the whole price and cap space thing, but we'll get into that next. I'm just curious to know, Will, when you think of Trevor Zegras, if the Rangers were to potentially consider trading for him, would you use him as a third line center, try to get him up into the top 6 on a wing, or like what do you think would be the better option there?
I don't know, because you can't trade for this kid you can't trade for him. Was he 22 or is going to be 23 this year? You can't trade for him and just stick him on a third line role because that's not what you want to do with him. He has potential to be a 2C and a 1C in this league. But at the same time, he's probably not the best defensively to be playing in a center role, but also he does play on the Ducks and they're just terrible as is. So kind of deflates his defensive metrics and everything. But at the same time, you also can't put him as a right winger because he's a center. So
He's played on the wing though.
yeah, he played on the wing when he first came up with the Ducks before they sent him back down for the second time. And then he came back up and and then he became a center full time. But I mean, if from a Ranger standpoint, if I'm going to do anything, it's probably going to be putting him in the first line right winger position. Cause I mean, the kid is just super creative. He's fast. He's a freestyle guy. He just comes up with creative. He's super creative with the puck. And that's what I like most about him. So I'd probably put him in a first line right winger role if he was to be traded here.
Yeah. And I could see that happening as well. I kind of just think, as we talked about in yesterday's episode, like the structure of the team depends on injuries and Kako especially because there's potential Kako. He's traveling with the team right now. So there's potential that he's going to return not tonight against St. Louis, but maybe next game on, I think it's Saturday, you said,
Yeah.
right? Um, so if Kako is playing on a first line, we'll see where Laviolette places him, and he's playing good. The Rangers at that point won't need to trade for another first line winger. They'd be looking for bottom six depth pieces, which I think Zegras does have the potential for right now. But as you said, he's just getting situated in the NHL, and he's has a lot of room to grow, and you wouldn't want to put him down there for a long time, which is kind of into the next part that I wanted to talk about, because I like that you're kind of like favoring staying away from a trade. I'm kind of favoring towards it. That why it might be a good idea. But the one reason why I am a little hesitant on it is his contract. It wouldn't be a rental. He's signed
No.
through
Yeah.
the 2025 2026 season. So it'd be this season plus two more. And it comes with a pretty hefty price tag there, 5.75 AAV. So, it's not going to be cheap. And again, we'll talk about potential trade packages in a little bit, but the Rangers would have to give up a decent amount for Trevor Zegras just for the cap alone. It's going to take a lot of good pieces to get Anaheim to be willing to trade him away. Even if you consider that he might possibly be on the trade block following the Drysdale trade. But you look at other players that we've talked about, like Frank Vetrano, Vladimir Tarasenko. There's a lot of Sean Monahan. There's a lot of players out there that could potentially be traded for to fill these Rangers needs that are a lot cheaper than Zegras. So, without putting together a whole like mock trade and everything, is the price tag too much? Does that immediately make you stay away? Because to me, it makes me hesitant, and I'm not like 100% like, yes, the Rangers need to do this. Like it does kind of pull me away from it a little bit, but I still do see all of the other positive aspects of this potential trade option.
Yeah. I mean, I think Anaheim is going to look at the Eichel trade package that, Buffalo got. Yeah, obviously, and I think it was 2021-22 season. Buffalo got Peyton Krebs, Alex Tuck, a 2021 first, and a 2022 first, and a 2023 third round pick for Jack Eichel, and then obviously Vegas got a 2023 third for that. I don't know if he'll go for a similar package like that. I think he's going to go for a young NHLer, someone who's been in the league, like a Capo Caco, maybe a Filipino. I think they'll probably stay away from him just because of his health right now, unless he does come back sooner than later. And they'll probably ask for a B tier prospect and then a pick. I don't know if it'll be a first round pick. It might be like a second or a third. But that's probably your package. They're definitely going to look at Eichels because not that they're in the same position, because Eichel was very young. I think he was a little bit older than Zegras, if I'm correct. Can't remember, but maybe they were the same age. I don't know, but um, Anaheim's definitely going to look for that Eichel package in return for Trevor Zegras, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. A team like Anaheim that's in the middle of a rebuild, they're going to want a lot of stuff in return for a guy like Trevor Zegras. But when it comes to a trade for Trevor Zegras, they're going to want prospects. I don't care. Give away the prospects. They want picks. I don't care. Give away the picks, because the Rangers are in a win now type of style of hockey. And I'm not worried about the future right now. Whatever happens then, we'll deal with it then, as long as it brings us a Stanley Cup. But there are players on the roster that are going to be like a little heartbreaking to see get traded away. Filipino, even Capo Caco. As much as I love them, if it comes down to them being the piece needed to make a Zegers trade happen, I'm not 100% for it, but I wouldn't be too heartbroken if they got traded away. Filipino, especially. He's a center that was expected to be in the top six by now in his career. Hasn't happened yet. He had the opportunity this season, and then he got injured. Now Vincent Trocheck has solidified himself in that role. So if Anaheim comes to the Rangers and says, we want Filipino, to me, it's a no-brainer. You should consider putting Filipino in as a part of that trade package. There's just not any room for him on the team. He has a high potential to become something great, but right now on this Rangers team, it's not really there for me. So I would be fine with it. I know that might get a lot of hate right there, but because I love Filipino. But if it comes down to it and Anaheim says that's who they want, the Rangers got to consider it. Even Capo Caco, former second overall pick, he's not living up to the expectations. And yeah, is he playing great defensively and might be a good depth piece on the team? Sure. But when it comes to someone like Zegras, who has the same potential, but is actually has a higher probability of reaching that potential, you got to listen to that, and the Rangers should consider that. Barclay Goodrow is another name that we throw around. So ship them all for free. I don't even care. They can just take them. I don't like. But there's some players. It's going to be expensive to get a guy like Zegers. It's going to be expensive to get anyone on any sort of level that could improve the Rangers by that much. Prospects and picks, though, I don't care. I'm not worried about the future at this moment. I want to win a Stanley Cup this season, and you're going to have to give away a player. So, Will, who's the player that you give away? Because to me, as much, and I know I can already see the hate in the comments for everything that I just said, but like I'm okay with at least considering the option of giving away Kako or Heedle. That's just my take, though. I'm ready to respond to comments later, but what about you?
I'm going to think about this from an Anaheim standpoint. If the Rangers, so I give the Rangers my package. I'll say, okay, give me a package of a young NHLer, like I said, B tier prospect, in a first round pick. Let's just say they ask for a first round pick. If that's their package, and in the Rangers, Chris Drury calls me back and says, okay, Philip Hedl, like Matthew Robertson, someone like that, and then a first round pick, I'm saying no, because right now Philip Hedl is injured. You don't know when he's going to come back. We have no news of when he's going to come back. I mean, yeah, when he's healthy, is he going to be? Does he have potential to be very good? Yeah, I think he had, what was it, 50 points last year. He broke out last year. He had 22 goals. You know, yeah, that would be someone maybe. But right now, you don't know what's going to happen. And when he does come back, if he sustains another concussion, he could be out for the rest of his career. And then basically you just lost out on that trade deal. I think Anaheim's going to be asking for Capo Caco, and really depends on how he does when he comes back. I mean, if he comes back and just starts tearing up the score sheet, it's going to be hard for the Rangers to make this trade. But I think it's going to come down to Capo Caco as probably the centerpiece in the trade for Trevor Zegras.
Yeah, and even Capo Caco, I would be more than fine letting him go if for a player on the caliber of Trevor Zegras. You look at Caco throughout his whole career, like I said before, the most points he's ever hit was last season. He hit like 40. And then he started off this season, he has like 3 points in 20 games played. And now he's been injured for the last 2 months. So it's, when he comes back from this injury, he's not going to be playing at the top of his game right away. He might not even be in a top 6 role. Chances are Peter Laviolette's going to put him down on the third line, and he's going to become a defensive depth piece for like the remainder of the year. And then after this year, he's a free agent. The Rangers would have to re-sign him with money that they don't currently have. And I don't want to sound like a Kako hater. I'm just saying that I'm a big Zegers advocate. Once again, not because of how flashy he is, but because of how creative he is and how fast-paced he is. And it brings new energy to this Rangers team, getting him off of that terrible Ducks team and bringing him to a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. We know this season Zegras isn't playing that well, 7 points in 20 games played, but he's been dealing with 2 injuries on a terrible Ducks team. You look last season, he was able to put up 65 total points last season. Imagine what if he did that for the Rangers last season. It would have been a game changer. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough, but I don't want to see Philip Hedl or Capo Caco go. I'm not wishing for that. If there's another way to make it happen, I would much prefer that path. But just knowing the Ducks, their needs, other trades of this similar level, it's probably going to have to include one of them. And the question is it worth it? To me, I'm not going to 100% say yes, it's worth it, but it's definitely in the realm of possibility where the Rangers and Chris Drury need to sit down and be like, we should consider this. But I don't know. Maybe you can sweet talk Anaheim, maybe retain some salary on Goudreau, and then just Goudreau a first and Matt Robertson would be nice. But I don't know. Like, we kind of been talking about trade packages here. Is there like if you're Chris Drury right now, Will, what is the first offer you make?
That's a good one. I'm probably. I gotta think about this one. I should have thought about this before we started recording. Now I'm in a pickle.
I mean, because I'm looking at my trade package, and it's kind of like similar to what we just said. I would say the Rangers send Capo Caco, Matt Robertson, and a first. I don't know
That's
what year
probably
I
that's
don't know
probably
what
what I'd
year
start at as well.
yeah, but then I would also, because I'm not throwing away, but because I'm giving away such a high potential player like Kako, I don't want him to be traded for how he is right now, but what his potential is. So
Yeah.
either Anaheim's going to have to throw in a second player there, maybe like a depth defender, or they're going to have to retain like half of that Zegras salary.
I think a depth defender would probably be better because obviously the Rangers are trading for this guy to be on their team for a while. So I doubt that Anaheim would want to retain salary on that. I mean, when you think of big trades, there's not a lot like big trades that aren't rentals. Obviously, like a rental, like Tarasenko, like that would be like last year they retained money for that. But because it's you're gonna keep this guy for a long time, I doubt Anaheim will retain money on that. So I'd probably go with a depth defender, and I don't know their roster very well, so I really can't really tell you who that player would be, but yeah, I'd probably go with the depth defenseman. Is it Zegras and a depth defenseman for I'd say Kako Robertson in a first would be probably the package that would I guess be thrown out there at some point.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would do, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where I don't really know the Anaheim roster that much. Maybe they don't even have a defenseman that we would want. I just know Braden Schneider so far this season. He's been extremely inconsistent, and I don't dislike Schneider either. I've been hating on a lot of Rangers players this episode. I gotta like take a step back here, but I would be a little more confident in the Rangers if there was like a more seasoned veteran on that third defensive pairing with Gustafsson heading towards the playoffs. But that's just me personally. I know there's a lot of big Schneider supporters out there, but I'm a little underwhelmed by him. But I don't know. Will, I guess the last thing we'll say here, I don't know how likely this trade even is. It's kind of just rumors and speculation going around that Anaheim might be willing to trade him away, but like I would say probability of Zegers being traded anywhere, not even just to the Rangers getting traded away. Right now, it's probably only like a 4 out of 10, like
Yeah.
40% chance of happening. But the amount of how much I would want it to happen, I would say right now I'm at like a 6 out of 10 of excitement of a potential trade of the Rangers. What do you think?
I'm with the way the roster is constructed right now and how he'd fit into this team. I mean, I'd be excited if he got traded here, but right now I'm probably at like a 2. I mean, I like Trevor Zegras. I love his play style. He's just such a free player that is so creative. Like it's insane to watch this kid play.
Yeah,
But with how it like I said, with how it's constructed right now, it'd be hard to just stick him on a third line role as a center, and then obviously you can put him as a right winger on the first line, but he's really a center, and you already have Mika and Trocheck there. So for me, I'm going as a 2 out of 10.
yeah, and it's understandable. This is one of those things where it could completely change the dynamic of the team. We look back at last season, the Rangers went out and got Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko, and then all of a sudden the chemistry kind of just fell apart. And obviously Zegras isn't on the same tier of greatness as Patrick Kane, but the style of play, like you've mentioned, very creative, very free, doesn't really match up with what Peter Laviolette has done. Where Laviolette has this very structured system, but that system recently has kind of started to get a little shaky. So maybe a player like Zegras is what the Rangers need to, wake them up from the slump. But I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts before I wrap up?
I don't think a trade for Trevor Zegras is going to happen with the Rangers. He'll probably end up get traded somewhere, but I just don't see it with the Rangers.
Yeah, I would say if it doesn't happen to the Rangers, I wouldn't be upset. I would understand why the Rangers want to stay away from it, but at the same time, I would be happy if it happened. The only thing I know for sure is please Anaheim, if you're going to trade them, please not to anyone in the Metropolitan Division that isn't us, because knowing us, give it. You know what? And quote me on this. Give it 2 months, and he will be a New Jersey Devil. I can guarantee it. But I don't know. That about wraps up this episode. I understand that this was one of the more controversial ones, and I'm ready to receive the hate for everything that I said. Please forgive me and come back for the next episode. But thank you all for watching. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a notification. If you're watching us on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. I know they're going to be angry, but some of you out there might think on like me that there might be some potential greatness in this trade, and that I might be the next Chris Drury out here. And lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on both Instagram and X. Rangers playing a few hours tonight against St. Louis. Hopefully they'll get a win, and no matter what happens, we will be back tomorrow to discuss all this Rangers news and content and get hated on again. But once again, thank you all for watching. Have a good one, and
Let's
let's
go
go.
Rangers.